Time to give the devil his due. Hey everyone, welcome to Prince the Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with Lucifer, Season 2, Episode 1. So, it's been about 5 months or so. It was May. It was May when I finished Season 1. So it's been a bit of time, and we're back with Season 2. And yeah, I'm pretty interested to see where this goes. We got a lot of detective stuff that goes on in this series, a lot of the supernatural stuff, and just, interpersonal drama. And it's pretty fun. I think it's carried a lot by Tom Ellis's just impeccable personality and acting skill. I think he carries this series. The others aren't bad. In fact, they're really good. But they just don't have the presence he does. Now, I did look up to see how many episodes this season is, and I found out that the seasons of this show are very inconsistent with their episode count. So, episode 1 is 13 episodes, which is a pretty standard, typical episode count. This one was raised to 18 episodes, probably because of how well season 1 probably did. Season 3 is 26 episodes. Just another big rise. And again, probably due to the popularity, but then season 4 drops to 10. And it's like, wait, what? But then season 5 raises it back up to 16, and then season 6 is down to 10. And it's like, what? Make up your mind. It is so inconsistent. And it's like, I know that can happen for various reasons, but I don't know. I like a little consistency in episode counts. It makes it easier to react to. Because when you have such an inconsistent episode count, each season's going to be handled differently in terms of, how long I react to it at a time. Because as you know, I do tend to take breaks, because otherwise I can get a little overwhelmed by things, and sometimes you just need a break from a show. But yeah, it's like, I'm very curious about the episode count. What's really interesting to me is that the first 3 seasons, which kept raising the episode count each time, were the 3 seasons that were on Fox. After it was, I guess, canceled off of Fox or whatever, and ended up moving to Netflix for season 4 and on, that's when it went down episode count to 10. But then again, episode 5 went up to 16, and I'm not sure why it went up again. Maybe episode 10 got this really big following, so Netflix gave them extra, but then maybe with season 5 it just didn't get good enough following, so they dropped it back down to 10 for season 6. I don't know. It's very inconsistent, though. And the interesting thing is, with seasons 1 and 2 going from 13 to 18 episodes, both of those seasons came out in the same year. So I'm thinking maybe it wasn't a case of, just because of how well season 1 did. Because they would have already been working on season 2 by the time that season 1 finished. Or even, honestly, by the time season 1 came out. Because season 1 released between January 25th and April 25th in 2016. Season 2 started in September of 2016, September 19th. That's not a lot of time between April and September. And mind you, it looks like season 2 took a little longer to air because it ended in May of 2017. But still, the fact is, they really rushed into a second season for this series. And that's almost a little concerning. Because it's like, season 1 was good. But if you're rushing into season 2, it means one of two things, really. Either you're extremely confident on where you wanted this to go, and you had already been working on it before season 2 even started releasing, in which case, okay, then it'll probably be fine. But the other option is that it was rushed. It was rushed to get out because of how popular season 2 did, and honestly probably should have had a lot more time. It's one of those two options, and the problem is I'm not really going to know which it is before watching. I'm just a little concerned because of this though. Um but I'm just hoping that this ends up being really really good. I'm hoping that it impresses me like season 1 did and continues to just be a really good show. At least just really entertaining. Um, the fact that it is 6 seasons, like, also can be a little concerning because sometimes seasons that or series that have that many seasons or even more can, you know, kind of dive bomb a little bit. At least for a lot of people. But it's possible that it keeps up its quality. And it might waver back and forth too. It's like some shows do that where it's like, oh, some parts of it are not as high quality, some seasons are not as high quality, but it picks it back up after. Um, I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what's going to happen in terms of story stuff, but I'm definitely interested. I hope we get more with the supernatural stuff this time too. Um, just gonna say this is my last thing because that was something that I feel like was held back on quite a lot in season 1. And don't get me wrong, it was there. It was absolutely there. But it was definitely more about the detective aspect of things. The detective aspect took charge, and let's be honest, a lot of the episodes were formulaic. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But it left little room to integrate in the more supernatural stuff most of the time. There were these exceptions here and there. There was an episode here or there that like would introduce like different supernatural elements. Obviously by the end of the season it became more important with Lucifer having to get his wings back. But overall, it could have done with a little more of it, I feel. But maybe that's just my personal like desires and interests. I understand it's supposed to be like combining the two sides of this because, you know, he's on Earth and he's helping his friend solve these mysteries and all. I get that that's the point. I understand. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how this goes. I'm just gonna say now, we're more than likely, no matter like how much we end up loving this, we're more than likely gonna take a break at some point. I just don't know when yet. I'm not gonna promise one way or the other. Um, we'll probably take a break at some point, and then we'll continue into the future. Like we did that with season 1 too, so not really a huge surprise. Just warning you ahead of time. But all of that being said, let us get this going and see what this episode has in store for us. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions with 2 on Wednesday. We have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And we have gaming content over on the Princess of Gaming channel. We have Baldur's Gate 3 every single day, Horizon Forbidden West every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, Beyond Two Souls on Wednesdays and Sundays, and Poppy Playtime every Saturday. And don't forget to click that link in the description to follow it to today's reaction. I do redirect everything on the channel just due to copyright. And on top of that, don't forget to click the subscribe button to subscribe to the channel and the like button to help support. It means a lot, and I thank you so much for tuning in. that being said, let's get to today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, yeah. That ending kind of disproved my theory. But it does make me think, okay, so if this forensics woman, if she's not Lucifer's mom, she's got to be an important character. She's gonna be probably a notable character throughout the season. Maybe even further beyond it. Um, I don't know what her role might be yet, but yeah. Also, I totally called that Maze and the doctor, like the doctor was the friend she was talking about. I totally called that. It just seemed like she would be the only person I could see it being at that point. It definitely had to have been someone we knew. And I believe Maze said she. I think Maze like specifically used she her pronouns when talking about her. It had to be. And they had interaction in season 1, so it tracks, it works. It just made the most sense. So I'm really surprised though that we got Lucifer's mother at the end here. I genuinely did not expect her to like be revealed in any way until like maybe mid-season. So like episodes 9 or 10. Because it just felt like that was going to be like a big long season story arc, and that like waiting to find her was going to be the big thing. But no, instead we get her at the end of episode 1 after this, extensive searching that Lucifer's doing for her. So that's a bit of a twist that I didn't see coming. On top of that, she seems to be either in trouble or injured or both, and that raises a lot of questions. So we've already kind of established that she's probably not here to get revenge on Lucifer. So the question is, why is she here? Now, let's actually talk about kind of the lore behind this, because this interests me. There's obviously a lot of lore centering around the Christian Bible and the origin of the universe, life, everything. There's a lot of different interpretations of the lore. There's a lot of different just creative versions of it. And this one is definitely very different. It's not the first time I've seen like this kind of lore depicted where it's like, oh, God isn't the only original celestial being. Supernatural did that too. But the idea that like, oh, God fell in love with another one of these celestial beings and they ended up like having children, and that's how Lucifer was created, instead of like God just basically snapping his fingers. Because that's how it's technically described as being. God created all of the angels, which includes Lucifer. He just created them, just decided to snap his fingers and bring them into existence. It wasn't sex. That's not how it works. But in this universe, in this lore, in this continuity, apparently it is. Apparently they fell in love, they had sex, and they had children. Lucifer, Amenadiel, and the others. Michael, Gabriel, etc., etc. And that was how the angels came to be, apparently. And at some point, God started, as Lucifer put it, tinkering in his garage on a new project. He started working on humanity, which apparently, based on what Lucifer was saying and the way he was saying it, made it come across as if it was like a timely process. Like it took time. It wasn't just like instantaneous, oh, I'm going to create humanity, snaps fingers. No, it seemed like it was actually something he was thinking about and working on for a while. And while this was going on, he became neglectful of Lucifer and possibly the others as well, and the mom became neglectful. And it's like, okay, so the father, so Lucifer started acting out. He started acting out to try and get attention. And God started to punish him because of it. And when God punished him, apparently Lucifer's mom did nothing. She just did nothing. And so when she eventually was banished from heaven and sent to hell, Lucifer didn't even try to give her the benefit of the doubt. He didn't even try to find out why anything might have happened. Instead, he just turned his back on her in response. He did what he perceived that she did to him, which he's even admitting by the end of the episode he might have been kind of wrong on, and he should have probably found out like the truth from her, at least to find out what she would say. And this is a really interesting way to look at this kind of story, because it's very clearly just a it's very clearly not a metaphor, what's the word, um it's a representation of real life familial situations that result in some less than hopeful situations. I'm not good at wording shit, you know this. Things turned out bad with the family, and this is very clearly supposed to represent like real life situations where this happens to people, and especially through miscommunication and or lack of communication. And that alone, that in and of itself, is very interesting because they're using this as a way to tackle real life issues and showcase that there can be wrong on both sides. And I think that's fascinating. That handling it this way is a really unique, interesting manner of doing so. Now, outside of that big lore stuff, well, kind of ingrained in that same lore stuff, we also have Amenadiel losing his powers. It's not explained or even like really hypothesized in the episode why it's happening, but we as viewers can kind of come to some conclusions, or at least ideas. The time he's spending on Earth might be affecting him in the same way that it's affecting Lucifer. But Lucifer is not really losing his powers. I mean, he kind of started to, I think, in season 1, but the thing with him is he's becoming more mortal. He's losing his immortality. But specifically when he's around Chloe. Amenadiel's powers have now faded twice that we saw. Once was when he was in the police station by Chloe's desk. The second time was when he was on the roof, just testing it out. Those two situations don't seem to have too much in common. So I don't think his powers fading are linked to a person in the same way that Lucifer's are. His powers fading may be due to his emotional state, him starting to question things. Maybe the fact that he had this relationship with Maze, who, was a demon and everything. There's other kinds of thoughts to how this could have occurred, but we don't have any confirmation of anything yet. Outside of that, we have Dan having been released from prison. He's been demoted, but brought back because the police are trying to sweep things under the rug, because of course they fucking are. Sounds about right. I looked it up, and from everything I can tell, it's the same actor this entire series. Which, I mean, it sounded and everything like him, but he looks different. Is that just me? He looks like notably different in the face. I don't know if it's just me, if it's just because it's been a while, or if it's, I don't know, something else, but he actively looks off to me. And I can't explain exactly why. But on top of that, I'm not necessarily sure how I feel about him being out because I'm not mistaken, right? I am correct in that he gave himself up in the end because he understood he did wrong, right? And he confessed and he went to prison of his own accord. So him basically agreeing to come out and everything, I don't know, it feels off, doesn't it? It feels off that he would agree to do that instead of like choosing to stay in. Maybe that's just me. But it feels like it honestly just feels like a half-hearted way to get him back into the story rather than just having him sitting in a jail cell for who knows how long. It seems like a very half-hearted way to do that. Like they didn't really give as much attention to trying to make that make sense as they should have. Um so yeah. On top of that, we have like the case of the episode, which is just, this celebrity actress, her not stunt double, her lighting double or whatever it was. I can't remember the actual term right now, but you know what I mean. And the drug dealer stuff, and Lucifer trying to figure out if it's like connected to his mom in some way, and it wasn't the best um case I guess we've had. It definitely wasn't the best one by any means, but it was okay. Honestly, all my attention was on the other stuff. All my focus and attention was on like the main story stuff that was happening, much more so than the case. I still feel though that the one girl, the forensics girl, is extremely suspicious. Just the way she was talking about things, and the fact that they gave so much attention to her in this episode, um, and even the discussion about faith and everything that she had with Chloe. It's like I don't know. I'm just getting this vibe that she's a much more important character than it's letting on. I really don't think she's just an ordinary person. I did kind of find funny the scene where Lucifer is like trying to get the confession out of the actress, and she just I should. I know it kind of sounds terrible that I was saying like I find it funny. I guess a better word is ironic. I find it kind of more ironic. Because funny, it's like it's not really a funny situation, but it's like he's trying to get the confession out of her, and she kind of starts to sexually assault him. Um, I find it ironic, not funny, not funny. I find it ironic though because of how like sexually active Lucifer is and how he does tend to gravitate towards that extremely easily. I mean, this dude, like fucks random people constantly. Like that's canon. And he even acknowledges that it's kind of ironic that for like the first time this isn't actually what it looks like, and he's actually not wanting this. He's actually like, I mean, mind you, like he's conflicted and confused because there's a part of him that was thinking it was his mom in disguise, and that was really genuinely grossing him the fuck out. But also like even he was just like unsure about it too. So it's just like he wasn't really he wasn't comfortable. We actually saw a sexual situation that made Lucifer have the ick. Like very strongly too. Like he was excessively uncomfortable. And I mean, I feel bad for him. It's like he was being sexually assaulted in every sense of the word. He was being sexually assaulted. And he looked actually really fucking disturbed by it. Again, Tom Ellis's acting is fantastic. Like he portrayed that really well. Like someone who's like just really fucking disturbed by what just happened. And yeah, that's definitely valid. That is absolutely valid. I do not blame him. Um, the actual woman who ended up being the killer isn't a surprise. Like she was probably my second suspect after the forensics woman, because let's be honest. Again, I mentioned this in the pre-thoughts. This show has a formula, and the bad guy is always someone that they've met while investigating. So it basically had to be one of those two at that point. And so the fact that it's this woman was completely believable and just made sense. But again, I still suspect the forensics woman of being someone or something. Maze returned and is basically just saying, like, oh, I need time to figure myself out. I'm having a friend help me. And just finding my place in the world and everything. And I really like that. I really like that for her, that she's trying to, do some self reflection and discover what she wants, who she wants to be, etc., etc. That's something that honestly everyone should strive for. Not necessarily through a psychiatrist or anything, but finding who you are and discovering more about yourself and everything is important. And it's something that I've obviously had to do a lot of in my life. There's a lot of self reflection I've had to do in order to come to the point I'm at now. And even now, even after all that, I'm still doing it. I'm still self reflecting. I'm still trying to figure out where I belong. And that's never going to stop. That's a thing that a lot of people need to realize too. It's like, that's a lifelong commitment. When you're trying to figure out who you are, what you want to be, where you belong, etc., that's something you're always going to be doing. And you don't have to like take this massive, constant, um, just nonstop action with it. It's like it's a lot of the times just trying to figure out. It's like, do I like doing this thing? Do I, okay, I just went to this event. Is this something that feels right to me? Sometimes it's just something as simple as that, just reacting to your environment and to things around you, things you've been to, things you've done, etc., etc. You don't have to like actively take a part in doing stuff. Like it's not like, oh, in order to in order to better my mental health, I'm going to go to a psychiatrist. Just bring that back up. You don't have to like take active measures like that to discover more about yourself and like, learn more about who you are. Again, it's just a matter of sometimes reacting to your surroundings and situations around you, things you've been in, things you've done. And again, it's a lifelong journey. It's something you're going to keep having to do. Because that's just how humanity is. Human beings are constantly evolving. We never stay the same. And so you have to keep changing and keep working on that and keep making sure that you're going to, grow as a person as you go along. It's something you'll always be figuring out because the situations, the people, the circumstances around you will keep changing, and that will keep changing you. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing to keep changing and evolving because it allows you to better yourself and better things for those around you, etc., etc. So, yeah, I like seeing May's work through this. I think that's just really cool for her character. Um, on top of that, I feel like there's more that this episode is setting up for the season than we even can tell at the moment. And I don't know what that is, but it just gives me that vibe that it's setting up a lot more than is making clear. Like, I feel like the stuff with Dan is probably some notable setup for later. I don't know in what way and why, but I feel like it is. Um, and I think there's just a lot of that in this episode. I couldn't tell you what it's setting up for or how it's setting it up, but I feel like there's a lot being set up. Um, but yeah, this was a good start. Wasn't like, again, the best episode, wasn't the best case, but still enjoyable. The main big plot stuff was definitely the highlights, and having that twist ending really did surprise me and makes me very curious as to where this is going to go. For the time being, though, tell me in the comments, what did you think of this episode of Lucifer Season 2? And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.